Perfect. Okay, so I'm Adrianna. Obviously, some of you guys know me. I'm a fifth year student at BU, and I play on the women's basketball team. I am one of two captains on the team this year, and I will be talking to you guys about time management as a student athlete in university, and giving you some tips of how to um, have good time management, because I know that when I was in university, it was a big step for me my first year, and it was a struggle to kind of learn good time management because going from high school to a very high elite level of sport can be kind of difficult, especially when you don't have the maybe so tips from people that have experienced it firsthand, such as myself to you guys right now. So I'm excited to help you guys out here. So to start off, just like a little plan out of what I'm going to talk about with the things that I think is going to help you guys accomplish good time management, which is just some few things like prioritizing, planning and finding a routine, finding a balance between academics and your athletics and just life overall, not overwhelming yourself or pushing yourself over how far you can take your body and your mind, and then just taking care of yourself. So these are some things that I found really helpful for me throughout my career, and still to this day I still have to do all of this. It never goes away. You always have to keep these things in mind and always be doing these things, I feel, if you want to have good time management throughout your career. So to start off, I'll start talking about prioritizing and how that works. So I want to I'll have a slide here that I'm going to pop up, which is our team. I play at the U Sport level. I know that some of you guys might go play U Sport, or you guys might play MCAC, college level across Canada. Some of you guys might go to the States. Like, it's different everywhere, priorities and how all of this stuff works. So for example, I just have an example here. This is for our team. So our coach puts this out for us. So this is what our team goes by for priorities. I have my own priorities, obviously, for myself, but as a team-wise, your team, your coach might give you a list of priorities that you should be following in order to help yourself and help the team. So for us, our coach gives us what he calls the all-time 9 every year. We get a sheet of paper, it has this on it, and this is what we follow. So it is in order from what our coach feels like should be the most important down to, they're all important, but it's in order from most important to least important. So of course, first for us, and I feel like this should be for everybody, no matter where you are, who you are, what level you're playing at, what sport you're playing. I always feel like family and relationships should always be number one, because that is a part of life. That's not going anywhere. That's not a temporary thing. Family is important. Managing relationships is important. So that's always our number one for our team. And then schoolwork. Schoolwork, you are a student athlete. So to us, schoolwork is almost above our sport, because in order to succeed on the court, you have to be able to succeed in the classroom. Some schools don't let you participate in a sport if you're not passing classes, and you guys know that in high school. I'm sure it's the same way in some of your schools, that you need to do good in school in order to participate in your sport. So that comes second to us. Completing our assignments, getting help, attending class is huge. Our coach is very big on attending class. He will check with our professors to see if we're attending class. Third is physical, so resting, taking care of yourself, strength and management, getting your sleep, taking your naps, getting good nutrition. Fourth on our list is technical, so making sure we're doing all the little things in practice that help us all reach the bigger goal in our games, which is just our shooting, our footwork, our post play, our dribbling, everything technical in our game. Mental is fifth for us, so we have a mental toughness coach. Some of you guys might have that in university as well, that we go over visualization and mental rehearsal of our games and just in life in general and all that. So that's number 5 on our list. Number 6 is practicing 100%. So listening to our coach, learning our plays, understanding, competing, and communicating with one another. 7 is our playbook. So I'm sure lots of you, depending on where you're playing, what level, you guys might get playbooks with your plays. So knowing your systems, knowing your plays, knowing our roles on our team that coaches give you as a role. 8 is routine, which is huge, that I'm going to go over. That's a huge thing for me in general, and I think for athletes everywhere, I'm going to get really in depth into routines. So school routines, practice routines, game routines, and all of that. And then last is team spirit. So just respecting everybody, including everybody. You represent your school as an athlete, whether you're in high school or in university. It doesn't matter what level you're at right now. But wherever you go around your community, you are always representing your school. So you always want to have that on your shoulders and be a good role model for everybody. So that's our all-time 9. So that's just an example of setting priorities into place. So you can set your own priorities, which I think is really important. I did that. And all of this took me, it didn't come right away. In my first year, I really struggled finding, ways to time management myself. And I think that you guys can really learn from this so that when you do go into your first year of university and being athletes, it's a lot easier for you guys to take the next step for this. So prioritizing what's important to you. So academics, whether that be sports, everybody has personal things in their lives. Some of you guys might need to have jobs in university, your family and your friends. Everything is important, and it's also important to find those priorities and list them. So your most important demands, your most important tasks should always be first. So you always want to complete things that are going to be most important as your number one and go down the list so that you're not wasting time doing something that might be not as important. So if you have an exam in 2 days and one of your priorities might be watching a movie with one of your friends, you might want to prioritize your exam at the top of your list and maybe have that movie with your friend be at the bottom and do it another time. If, that's putting your priorities, and that's being more disciplined as an athlete and as a student. So doing that is very important. So for example, you yourself, your team might have your own priorities, but make your own all-time 9 like we have. So make your own priority list. If it's academics is number 1, if sports is number 2, you do what's important to you. And like it says at the bottom of here, it's okay to say no to people. And I had to learn that a lot because it is a jump going from high school to university. And I've had to say no to lots of people, like my friends. And of course, making time to socialize with your friends is so important because that is a part of life. But you know what? You are a student athlete, and sometimes saying no is okay if you have priorities. And that's totally fine. And people are going to understand that. And that's up to you to realize what's most important to you, because that will go a long way when you come to realize that certain things need to be prioritized over other things. So secondly, coming along after priorities is planning and routining, which is so huge. I don't have a lot written on the slide, but I'm going to talk quite a bit about this because it took me, and it still takes me a long time. I'm in my 5th year, and you know what? Every year, sometimes I have to change my routine. I have to change my plan. I have to find new ways that work best for me because my schedule changes. I'm just recently graduated last year with my undergrad, and I'm now in a new program at the university. So my class schedule is so different than it used to be. So I've had to change my schedule. COVID's changed my schedule and routine. Everything just changes all the time. So it's not going to be a steady 24/7. You're going to find your plan in the first month of being in university, and that's going to be your routine for the rest of, your 5, 6, 4 years, whatever, how long you're in school for. So the important thing is to just plan out your daily routine. So you're going to get practice schedules, whether you have lifts or extra workouts or skill workouts. You're going to have a class schedule. You're going to have your game day schedule. You're going to have a list of assignments that you have to do. So what I found is planning those is so important. And I have on here in big caps, use a planner, because my first year, I didn't really think, I was like, oh yeah, planning, oh, it's whatever. I'm not really a planner type of person, but it has helped me so much because when I feel like I have a day planner in front of me and I put all my assignments in and I put all my practices and I put my game days in so that I can see in advance where everything is going to be coming up so that I'm not behind in my schoolwork or I'm not missing lifts or workouts because I forget where they are or I forget what time they're at. Sticking to a plan and routine is so good, and everybody's routine is going to be different. So when I'm talking about, it's one thing to plan ahead and use a planner and put your practices in, put your lifts in, put your classes in, game days, assignments. Planning ahead like that is different to a routine as well. So planning is one thing. Planning is super important, especially as a first year going in, and understand that it might take time. You're not going to find a routine, right off the bat. It could take you months to find it. It could take you a whole first year. It could take you 2 years to find a routine that, works best for you. So don't be stressed that you need to find a routine or something that's going to work for you in the first week of you getting to university and getting into your practices and everything. So that's fine. And routines, I routine everything. Like, our coach really emphasizes sticking to a sleep schedule. Especially as an athlete, it is so important as an athlete to try and stick to, okay, this is what time I'm going to go to bed every day. I'm going to aim for this. I'm going to aim to wake up at the same time every day, especially when you have games coming up, because you know what, you practice all week and you have games almost every weekend. I guess it depends on what level you're at, but sticking to that routine and not changing it up and going to bed at midnight one day and waking up at 10 and going to bed at 3 a.m. and waking up at like 8, like it can really mess you up, even though you might not think, and you think you're fine. But I've realized that as I get older, that sticking to a sleep schedule and everything in between like that is so important for me. And it helps a lot. And it helps so many other athletes that I know to sticking to that sleep schedule. And also pre-planning meals. You are busy, and it also depends what type of person you are, where you're going to school. If you're living at home, whole different story. It can be if you have your parents and you're coming home to food all the time. But for someone like me, I moved away. I'm originally from Thompson. I moved to Brandon, and you know what? I had to plan for myself, cook for myself, and figure everything out on my own. And pre-planning meals was so important to me. So I'm the type of person that every week I figure out what I'm going to eat, and I kind of plan like around my schedule, like when am I going to eat? So I make everything to kind of prepare myself for a week. So I'm a meal planner. Not everybody's a meal planner. Some people like to cook, but I can't find the time during the week with my busy schedule to try and cook for myself every single day. So I like to do in advance, and lots of people do. I know almost all my teammates do the same thing, and it's very helpful. So that is also a part of my routine. Every Sunday I cook for the week. That's part of my routine, and I haven't changed that since like my first year university. So that's something that you may want to look into. You may not want to look into it. Again, it depends on your situation, but that's something that, if you're moving away from home for the first time and you're living off campus and you don't have a cafeteria, look into pre-planning your meals and cooking for yourself. So that's that. And using your time wisely. I do, as busy as I am, I have lots of downtime, and I've had lots of downtime since my first year. And, I didn't utilize my downtime a whole really great for myself in my first couple of years, I would say. I didn't really utilize the downtime that I had to do assignments and, maybe study or go get extra work into the gym sometimes all the time. When I had that downtime, there's no problem with using downtime for yourself to watch movies, to watch TV. You need to relax, and especially as a student athlete, it's so great to have time to relax and downtime, but you just have to choose it wisely. Understand that you are a student athlete, and when you do have downtime, it is great to be able to use that to have the time to study, to go over, your academics, to maybe get into the gym and get a little bit of extra work in, whatever works best for you. But that can really help too. Planning that into your routine when you see downtime, figuring out what you're going to do in advance can really be helpful as well. So I have these two pictures here. So these are personally what I use for my planning. I use two different types of planners now. And again, this took me a while to realize. I've always used the monthly planner, which is the one that you see on the right, which is day to day every month. I put all my classes in that. That's a really good thing to have. I think every student athlete, even just every student in general, should have a planner like that. The one on the left, actually, I didn't start using until about last year. So you can see that it takes, time for students to understand what's going to help them in their routine, because everybody's routine is going to be completely different, because everybody is so different from each other. Everybody has different time slots for practices. Everyone has different demands for their sport. Everything's different. So don't ever compare your routine to someone else. So for example, on the left side of the daily planner, I will plan my day from whenever I wake up in the morning, usually, to when I go to bed, to try and keep me on track during season, especially. is so important to me, because I will plan out when my classes are, when I'm going to study, when I have lifts, when I have practice, when I'm going to nap. I usually nap either sometimes before practice is best for me if I don't get a good sleep, and that's nice to have a daily planner like that, because it gives you an opportunity to not just plan so far in advance, but you can plan your day the day before. So if something comes up, you can plan it and you can throw it in there, and it's not, that's your plan, that's your routine. So for me, routine is so important, especially during season. Knowing what post and pregame practice is going to look like for you. If you need to stretch and get to the gym earlier than some people, that's a part of your routine. What you eat after practice, that can be a part of your routine. Like I said, when you're going to nap, a part of your routine. Your classes, your lift schedules, everything is a part of your routine. So everybody's routine is going to be so different depending on when your classes are, when your extra skill workouts are, but to have that in place can be so helpful. And it's just, it really helps you plan ahead and see what things are going to be like for you. So things may be better for you than some other people, so don't compare yours to your teammates, because it can take time and everybody's different. So here is another type of kind of planning routine checklist. Our coach actually gives this to us. Our one of our assistant coaches creates this for us. It says daily routine off season in there, but we use it in season as well. So this is another idea of something, if you want to create something to help you create a routine. So it has all the times, hours of the day there, and then you have all these columns for your academics, for your physical training, skill development, emotional management training, nutrition meals, proper rest, visualization. It has everything right there. And then me time, because that's just as important, to find time for yourself as well. So if you like something like this, you can easily create this. You can do it yourself. It's super easy to just be able to do something like this, where you have everything kind of planned into place. And this could be perfect for you if you're the type of person that wants a like laid out routine map like that. And it's very, very helpful. I've used this over my years as well, and it's helped me so much. So those are some ideas of things you can use for planning and routines, but I strongly suggest that you do try to find a routine as an athlete that works around your schedule, that's best for you. And it will take time, because I know in my first year, deciding when I wanted to take my naps, when I wanted to eat, how long I wanted to eat before practice, whether I needed 2 hours, 3 hours, it's going to be different, and it's going to take time to figure out what works best for you. So it's completely normal if it takes a while, if it takes a year. Just find the things that work for you, and don't get stressed or worried if it's taking you a long time to figure out when these things are going to work and how they're going to work for you. So that is that. So next thing that I wanted to just talk about is just balancing your school and athletics, which is one of the most important things I'd say, because you are a student athlete, and school and obviously your sport are going to be top priorities because you've made a commitment to a team. So you are a student athlete. I think I said before, student comes first. Our coach always emphasizes that school is always number one to us. Being an athlete is also, you are committed to a team, and it's just as important as school, but you need to find that balance between the two, because doing your assignments in advance can be so crucial to not having that added stress onto your athletics. Because something that our coach always emphasizes to us, and every coach is different, every player is different, but studying, I need to study, he always says, is never an excuse to miss practice, because yes, you are strongly into athletics, and it can be hard to balance, and you are strongly into school, and school is so important. But he always says, you know what, you have the time. You always have the time. You have time to study. You have time to get into your academics, to ask for help from your coaches, from academic advisors, from everybody. You have the ability to get your schoolwork done as a student athlete. Everybody does it. It is, you are very much so capable, because your athletic commitment is also important as school is as well. So having that balance between the two and doing assignments in advance can be so important, because I came out of high school being the biggest procrastinator in the entire world. I always left things to the last minute. I told myself, I work better under pressure. Oh, if I have to do this assignment in 2 days from now, it's easy. Like, I can just get it done. But then I got to university, and that doesn't really work as well, because you know what, when you have games every weekend, and for the league that I play in, which is youth sport, we fly a lot. We fly on Thursdays to go to BC. We fly on Thursdays, and we're not back till Sunday to go to Alberta and play games. And you have a game weekend where you're focused on your games, and you're focused on game day, and your pre and post game routines. And for us, it's watching film and studying the other team. And on my mind, I don't want to worry about an exam or a paper that I have the Monday I get back from an out of town trip, and I didn't study for it because I didn't use my time during the week in advance to do that. And I've been in that situation before where I know I have an exam on the Monday or Tuesday that I get back from a Thursday to Sunday trip to BC, and I get back and I am stressing because you know what, I didn't do it in advance. I didn't take my time in advance to learn that, you know what, okay, if I do this paper a week before it's due, I'm going to go to BC. I'm going to have my head focused in my game and my sport, and I'm going to get back, and I'm not going to have to cram write a paper in a day after I just had a busy weekend of playing my sport out of province, halfway across the country. I learned that the hard way. It has happened to me quite a few times, and now I know that I can't do that anymore, because it does get really hard and it does get stressful. So seeing your assignments in advance and realizing you're going to get a course outline at the beginning of the school year, you're going to know when your assignments are due. So now what I do is, it's a really good idea. You see, okay, I have a paper due in 2 weeks. Write in your day planner. This goes back to planning and routine. Write in your day planner a week before that paper's due. Start working on the paper for this class, or start studying for this exam that I have in a week, because then that gives you a written time that you should start doing something for your academics and for your assignments, so that you're not stressing the day you get back from an away game or even home games. It's stressful because you're tired, you're physically exhausted, and you probably just want to relax and focus on recovery and not worry about a huge exam you have the next day. So trying your best not to procrastinate. I know it's hard. I still procrastinate sometimes to this day, and it drives me nuts because I don't like doing it, and it does get very stressful, especially when you're in university, because your level of education just goes really high up after high school, and especially athletics, the level that you're doing and the priorities and the demands that your sport's going to acquire for you is going to be so much higher than where you are right now. So, you might be a procrastinator now in high school and you might think it's fine, but coming into university, for time management, it is so important to try and get things done earlier, way better than later. And if you get it done earlier than later, it's not going to interfere with your sports, and it shouldn't interfere negatively with your athletics. So when you plan out your days and you plan out your certain assignments in advance, and you know your schedule, like I said, knowing when your home games are, knowing when your away games are, you can plan your school around that, and that makes it so much better. And that'll work so well for, I'm sure, if all of you tried to do that, it would work in your favor very well. And just last thing is just finding a study method that works for you, because that can be very hard. Like, you may study a certain way maybe in high school, but I've tried. I think it took me probably 2 or 3 years to figure out a study method that worked best for me. And that's because, you know what, I wish I had somebody telling me find a study method when I was in high school going into university, and, find a way that works for you, whether that be, you might be somebody that needs to take notes and read it out loud, or you might be somebody that needs to make flashcards and read them aloud. Like, it took me a while to try and tinker with ways like that for myself to learn, and I didn't know that I could settle down with the study method that worked best for me, because I didn't have people telling me find a study method, because that makes it easier. So telling you guys try and find a study method is so important, because it can help you so much in your academics, and finding a way that works best for you, because everybody learns differently. So you might study way different than somebody else in your class, and that's not a problem. So making sure you just finding that balance between athletics and school can be so important, and it really, really helps with you managing your time when you plan things in advance and figure things out early. Um, so next thing is just not overwhelming yourself. With everything that I just said, prioritizing, planning and routine, balancing schoolwork with academics, it can be a lot, especially when you're trying to figure it out in your first year, and that's okay because it is going to be difficult. You are a student athlete, you're going to the next level. It's new for all of you. It was new for me when I went in, and it was difficult. And it is difficult. It still is difficult. You're a student athlete. It gets easier, but you always have those bundles of priorities and those demands on your body and in your schoolwork and in your social life and everything in between. So it's always going to be difficult, but as time goes on and you find routines and you find plans that work for you, that is what's going to take that stress off of you if you do these things, if you try new things, if you try and find a way that works for you, if you get a routine going, if you make plans for your days and plans for your workouts and everything involved in that, your stress will just like be taken off your shoulders because you are taking care of yourself. You're prioritizing everything that needs to be prioritized, the most important. And trust me, it'll make you feel so much better, because sports and academics, balancing in university, that becomes a part of your life. And it is probably a part of lots of your lives right now in high school, and playing your sport that you're playing and balancing your high school work. It can be a struggle no matter what level you're at. Once you go up to university, it's going to be totally different for you guys, and it will be stressful in the beginning, but as time goes on, it's going to be a part of your everyday life, and it's going to get way easier. And if you plan and prioritize, find your routines, it'll be great. And take care of yourself and never be afraid to ask for help, because asking for help can help you so much. Like, I was never the kind of person that wanted to go get help from, my coaches, or asking my coaches, oh, is there somebody that I can go see to help my work? And that's fine. Like, asking for help can be so great. Your school will have academic advisors. Your school will have, you can go to your coach and say, do you have somebody that I can go to and ask for help for this class? You can go to your professors. Never be afraid to ask for help, especially as an athlete when you're going to be so busy, and you might get behind on things because of game days, and you might miss classes because you're traveling or you have a game at that time of your class. And that's fine. Just be sure to catch up, ask your coaches or whoever for help. I've had to go to my coaches and ask them for help sometimes, and that's fine. Like, our coach tells us, what, if you have papers due, submit them to so and so, and they can go over them with you and figure things out. Your school should have workshops. I know BU has writing workshops and time management workshops, kind of like how I'm talking to you guys about it. There's workshops at BU. I know that people will go over this kind of stuff with you and, helping you plan a routine and all this. So there's going to be people throughout your whole university career that are going to be there to help you. And I can't stress it enough, is to take advantage of it, because you're getting an amazing opportunity. And if there is help for you, I would take it. Like, you don't want to just sit there and not take it if somebody's there at your availability. So another thing is, just don't take on more than you can handle. So I know that there's going to be so many things in university that you're going to want to do, but you are making a commitment to a team. And I know it's hard. There's so many extracurricular activities at BU that I want to do. I want to go play rec volleyball, and I want to go play, all these rec sports and be a part of all this. But for me, I have such a high demand I have, I have lifts, I have skill workouts, I have film meetings, I have team meetings, I have game weekends, practices, yoga, so much stuff on my plate that for me, this is what I chose to do. So, I don't want to add more to my plate to make it so much more stressful for me. And I know some of you might be able to do it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can't do it, but you'll know when you start to get overwhelmed and you're like, oh my God, I have this commitment. Oh, I need to go. I'm a part of this club. I need to go to this club. Oh, but I have practice an hour after. When am I going to eat? When am I going to do this? It can get really hard. Like, I'm a part of athletic council at BU. So that's something that I felt like I could add that to my plate because I had the time for it. It wasn't too often. We have meetings once a month. So that for me is something that I can be a part of and that I enjoy being a part of because it fits into my schedule. So if you are going to be part of extracurriculars, if you're going to have a job, just make sure it fits into your schedule so you're not adding more stress to you. Because I know a lot of university students, you need to work and you need to have a job, and you know what, you want to be a part of all these extra things, and that's great, and there's no one sitting here telling you you can't, but just make sure you understand that you don't want to overwhelm yourself and burn yourself out and get exhausted, because you still do have school and athletics to focus on, which are huge for you as well. And then just like I said before, getting proper rest and nutrition. I said my first year, I'm like, oh, you know what, I don't think rest and nutrition, it mattered, but for me, especially nutrition, it was kind of like getting down to the nitty gritty of it is like, as you get older, especially knowing what you're going to eat before a game day is, my coach says, you know what, you should try and eat the same thing every single time before you play a game. Find what gives you energy, find what works for you, find that food that you're going to eat and how long before a game you're going to eat it. And finding that can be very difficult. It took me a while, but once you stick to that and knowing when you're going to get rest and knowing when you're going to get what you're going to eat in your nutrition, it crazy helps you. It helps me so much. I'm knowing what time I need to go to bed at on a game day, to get enough rest in order to have energy when I need to nap on weekends when we're out of town and we're in Alberta and where you have a game the day. I know how long I need to nap, and finding those things that work for me is important to me, and it works for me. So finding that as well, also as part of your routines, going back to that, can help you not be so stressed and worried about it. And also just taking breaks. You're busy. I'm not sitting here telling you to study for hours on end when you're free time and, oh, you have 4 hours of free time. Oh, I got to study for 4 hours. No, that it's so important to create time for a social life and for family, but just fitting it into your schedule. Family is so important on our all-time 9. Family's number one. Relationships are number one, not just with family, with friends, with significant others, anybody that's in your life. It is so important to find time for them as well. So taking breaks is good for you. You should take breaks as much as you can. While you're studying, take breaks. After practices, take breaks. Don't just jump into studying. You know, find a way to relax and calm yourself down. Do things that you enjoy, whether it's, you know, playing video games, reading a book, whatever it is. Don't just think that life when you get into university has to be all about academics and all about school or practices and your sport, because there's so much more to life than that. And never just throw your friends aside and throw your family aside, because that's so very important as well. So moving on to just taking care of yourself. So I kind of just went over this. Time management as a student athlete and figuring out everything that I just talked about can be very mentally draining and overwhelming and physically draining. So just getting to understand yourself can really help you. So understanding you and your body, you and your mind, how well you take things in. If you stress more than other people, if you get nervous more than other people, everybody takes things in differently. Like I get stressed. I'm a stressful person. If I have a paper due that I know that I'm not doing it, I get stressed. So, you know, I work differently than maybe you would work differently. And knowing yourself and your body and how mentally drained you get so fast and how physically drained, and just know it. If you have had so many busy days back to back to back and you're overwhelming yourself and you feel it, take a break. You know what? If you told yourself that you were maybe going to go work out or something, but you feel so mentally and physically exhausted, it's okay to take a break from some things that you have going on. I've had to take breaks before when I push myself too far. I've come to understand my limits. I might want to go work out every day to be the best basketball player that I can be, and I might want to go in the gym and lift every day, but on top of that, I have practice, I have exams, I have papers. So knowing myself is, I've found a balance, like I was talking about, of making sure that I take care of myself, with my sleep, with my eating, with how much I work out, with knowing my practice, knowing my limits myself. And your limits might be different next year in university because you might have a lot more demands than you do right now and where you're at. So things are going to change, But you just want to avoid burning yourself out and just getting so exhausted that you just like, I've seen people do so much that they're just like, I don't want to do it anymore. And they just don't want to be a university student athlete because they push themselves so much to do so much and overwhelm themselves that they just like break because they're not giving themselves time to spend time, like I said, with friends, with family, taking breaks for themselves. Me time is so important. And like I said, planning, routine, prioritizing, sticking to a schedule can help reduce your stress and draining yourself so much. And just one thing that our mental toughness coach said to us all the time is that you are bigger than your sport. So for us, he always says, you are bigger than basketball. You are more important than basketball for us. So if you're a soccer player, you are bigger than soccer. You matter more than anything else. So taking care of yourself and having that discipline as a student athlete to realize that you might not just be able to wing everything in university and just wing, okay, I'm going to eat now. Okay, I'm going to just go to bed now when I feel like it. Or I'm going to just go to practice 5 minutes early today instead of 20 minutes early. Like just having those plans and those routines and those priorities and everything can help you not get to the point of burnout and of getting so stressed and mentally drained immensely. It's helped me so much throughout my career, is just understanding that, you know what, I matter, you matter, taking care of yourself in the ways that you know you need to take care of yourself. And you have family, you have friends, you have coaches, your teammates, everybody's going to be there for you. Never think that you're alone. But that just falls into time management. If you have good time management and you're learning how to take care of your time and balancing your sports and everything, then you might never get to that point. Lots of people do. I do a lot still, and that's fine. It is what it is. On top of, you know, games and coaching, and you have extra things as an athlete, it gets to you, and you know, sometimes you just need to take a break and be like, I just need to rest for the day or whatever it is that you need to do. So just always remember to take care of yourself on top of everything that you have to do. So just to kind of recap everything that I kind of talked about. So these are like in point form, what are the most important things that you should take away? Because I just want you guys to really take away everything that I'm letting you guys in on, because I wish that I could have attended something like this when I was your age, so that I know going into university what I should have tried, how I should have tried it, the things that were going to be most important. Because, you know, sometimes you're in high school and you're like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to need to do this or not, but it doesn't hurt to try. You can learn it the easy way. You can take these and try it for you and figure out a way that works for you. And some of these things might not work for you, and certain plans and certain routines or whatever it is, it's going to be different. So, but I really urge you, finding a routine. Promise you that every coach that you have will probably urge you to tell you to find a routine. I've never had none of my coaches in university, no coaches that I know, no athletes that I know have ever not had a routine. Routine is something that you'll probably hear from your coach all the time in university, especially when you get there. Our coach emphasizes it every year. I've been there 5 years and he never doesn't emphasize finding a routine. It's always something that we have to do and change every year. So routine, routine, routine. I urge you guys to try it as much as you can, because for time management, it is so important. That's the number one thing. Planning ahead, like I said, assignments, studying, practices, game days. A planner is great. A planner helps so much. Plan your practice times, plan your lift times, plan your free times. Know when your game days are. Know how you're going to deal with those game days. Know your pre and post routine. Know when you're going to nap. Find all those things that work for you in your first year. It will take time, but it's going to be great for you guys. And then taking care of your emotional and mental health, like I just said, one of the most important things in life as a student athlete. You know, don't worry about, you know, screwing up can be hard, especially as a first year. You know, you want to go into your sport and you want to succeed and you want to be the person and do well, and you don't want to screw up, but guarantee you it is okay to do that. And if you can't worry about screwing up as going into university, because that will drain you. Like I said, that's another thing that's going to drain you, is just going in being so worried. Like, just go in, to university and athletics, like everybody still to this day, no matter how many years you've been in, you know, you get nervous of screwing up sometimes. It is what it is, but that's just all, you guys all know that's a part of athletics. So just help your mental and emotional health. Just go in with a clear head, open mind. Never worry too much. You know, obviously your athletics and your academics are so important, but never let it overtake you so much that you're not thinking about anything else, because that'll just drain you completely. And then just finding a balance between social life, academics, family, sports, training. Find what's going to be best for you. You know what? I find time to hang out with my friends, to hang out with my teammates, while balancing academics, while, you know what, still finding time to talk to my family, even though they're far away. I find the time to do everything for myself. And it's made being in university as an athlete so hard, because I know that some people really struggled coming into their first year, second year, third year, whatever year it is, and just struggled finding that because they didn't know how to go about it. So that goes to the last point of never be afraid to ask for help. If you can't find a routine that works best for you, it never hurts to go to your coach and be like, hey, can you help me find a routine? Because I've tried these things and they're not working. And do you have any suggestions about when I should do this or how I should do this? Like, it never hurts, because they can help you with so much, and it'll just make life so much easier. So all of these things are going to help you with your time management in university. I urge you to just take them all in and really be understanding and open to trying these, because they will help you so much. If you ever have any questions, I mean, I'm not far away. I mean, email, whatever. You can get my email number, whatever, from Jesse. I mean, I'm free to help anybody. If you have any questions about anything within your time at university, I'm more welcome to help, give you tips, give you answers if you have questions or whatever. But hopefully that this will help you guys. And if you need to look back on it, look back on it. And yeah, I hope that this helps you guys. Like, I hope it would have helped me if I was at your guys' point in age. So, and good luck with everything that you guys have coming up.
Wait, I do have one question for
Yeah.
you. Do you bring like schoolwork on like your trips to BC?
Yeah, our coach always emphasizes, that's one thing he really emphasizes, is we're going on this trip for business, not leisure. So we do, one thing I didn't mention is that we have study hall, something called study hall for all our first years and people that don't have a GPA above a certain level. So we do have study hall. Study hall happens on the road, on planes, on buses, everybody, all of us bring schoolwork. We'll be on the bus going to Saskatoon. Everybody will be studying. We'll have our laptops out. We'll have books out. It is important to bring work stuff on a trip, because you are there for your sport, but you know what? You're also there to spend some of your free time studying. I know all of us girls usually go down in the hotel lobby and we find a conference room, and after a game, or you know, the morning of, after we get back from a shoot practice before our game, we'll all go study for a couple hours. And you know what, that's something that your teams will probably do too, because there's never not a time that you cannot study. So it's always important. I urge you guys to bring your school materials on trips 100%, especially if you have stuff coming up. It's very important. Even if I don't have anything, I still bring my schoolwork just in case I have time. So yeah, we do. And I would definitely tell you guys to try and bring your stuff as well if you guys ever travel.
Sweet.
And that is it.
Thank you. Thank you.
For sure.
Adrianna, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that it obviously takes some time just to kind of establish your routine and more become comfortable with it, and get it to the point where, you know, it's actually a routine and you don't have to think about it every day. It just kind of happens, and you're comfortable and achieving things with it happening the way it does. But it takes some time to build that. So how important, you know, would it be to be comfortable with those things before you get into your first year? So whether it's with studying, whether it's with, you know, being in the gym every day, whatever it is, just kind of balancing your schedule and setting those routines. How valuable do you think it would be to have that established before you have to go into your first year and make adjustments to the university level?
Oh, so important. I wish that I would have done that before I went into university, because as I said, it does take time. And if you can establish that sooner than later, you know, if you're grade 10, 11, 12, and you have those aspirations and you know you're going to go play at university level, you know what, that's great to be able to, you know, maybe find things that work for you, whether it be now study methods or how you're gonna nap times. You guys are all athletes. I know it's kind of hard with COVID right now and you guys might not be in season, so it might be a little bit harder right now to establish certain things, such as figuring out if you're going to be napping before games, or you know what you're going to eat before games, and finding certain things that work for you where, like Jesse said, you don't have to think about it because it just becomes so natural and normal to you that it just becomes a part of your daily routine. Can be hard right now because of COVID and athletics kind of aren't up and running, but you know, for academic wise, and you know, if there's anything else that you guys know that I had said previously that you can start doing now, I urge you to do it, because getting it done earlier is so much better than waiting a year and a half, 2 years, or even months in university to establish that routine. Getting it early can help you so much. And I definitely say to try and do that as much as you can.
Awesome. Any other questions, girls? Esme, do you have any?
No.
Okay, awesome. One last one, Adrianna. I don't know if it's really a question. We'll see how it comes out. But seeing how, you know, in coaching at the university level and seeing a lot of different athletes come, and in terms of not making it, or maybe feeling overwhelmed and having to stop or wanting to stop playing, or just not making, you know, that cut or that impact that maybe you have coming from, you know, a 3A high school, for example, and coming in and playing significant role and a very key player in the program. What do you feel are some of those important things that have made a difference for you, where some people may just look on the outside and go, she was always good enough and that stuff, and we're not doubting that, but I think what I'm getting at is there's a lot of small things that people don't see.
Yeah, definitely. I think just like, I can actually give an example. There was a girl that I played on my team with, and her story, we all talk about it all the time because she came from Verdun. She played for the team for about 6 years. Small school, came in, you know, redshirted her first year, you know, maybe didn't get as many minutes in her first couple of years, and that might happen to you. You might not play your first year. You might not play your second year. Some people don't even play their third year and they don't start getting minutes till their fourth or fifth, but just understanding and like just keeping motivated it can be very hard. And I think just finding your inner motivation and knowing that, you know what, not everybody gets the opportunity that you get when you go and play a university level, no matter what level it is. So many people would wish to be in your footsteps, and on every team, you know, there's going to be people that play extraordinary minutes that are just naturally good, but there's going to be so many people that, you know what, getting into the gym and working is going to be so important, and just like improving your game and just understanding that you can always develop, you can always get better, but just staying motivated is so important, because I know so many people that just think, like, I've had girls on my team come in and 1 year in and they don't really play a lot, and they've quit right away. They just leave because you come out of high school and you're just this big high school athletic star, but you know what, you go to university and there's a lot of good players there, but training and motivating yourself and knowing, you know what, you're going to eventually get to a point where you're going to be at that great, amazing level. It doesn't matter, whatever, you know what, just stay motivated, stay training, stay trying your hardest. The girl that I just explained is a great example. You know what, she eventually made it, and she ended up, you know what, eventually being such a key player for our team, but it took time just for her to, and she never stayed motivated. She was in the gym all the time. She was shooting all the time, working out, doing whatever it took for her to be able to play her role on our team, whether it was small, whether it was big. Just, I strive you not to lose your motivation, because it is a sport that you love playing. And if you truly love playing it, you know what, having that motivation and having that drive is just going to be so important for every single athlete out there.
Awesome, thank you. And I think, girls, some of the very, very small things as well that Adrianna might not even think of, because it's just in her routine and she does now. For example, she understands how important it is to have a nap on the day she needs it. And as silly as that may sound, or that takes a commitment from going in to have a 30-minute nap or whatever it is before practice, when her friends maybe want to go for coffee, but she knows I need to have a nap to perform at my best in practice. So unfortunately, I can't go with you. Or, you know, when Adrianna goes for her nap to help prepare, is she listening to music? Is the TV on? Is all those things that you need to check and ask, because it's in her routine as a part of her schedule to help best prepare herself. So I would imagine that it's straight in for a nap, and she has to, as silly as this sounds, put in that work to go get her 30-minute rest and make that commitment to doing those types of things, where she's not going in just to watch TV. She's not going in to have the TV on. Little things like that where it takes the commitment, and not everyone will do that commitment. So how can we best prepare ourselves coming into our first year, that'll give us the best competitive advantage to be a little bit ahead? Because as Adrianna mentioned, everyone's going to come in and have been the best players, have been the stars where they're coming from. And now some of those stars are not going to dress their first few games or their first year, and just setting yourselves apart in some of those little areas. Adrianna, last question. You mentioned that you wish you had heard this in grade 10 or grade 11. If you heard it then, would you have listened?
Yeah, that's a big thing. Is I didn't hear all of this, but you know, you hear little things. I heard little things from coaches at my high school, from people, and you know, they tell you small little things here and there. And when you're in high school, it's kind of like, oh, like, do I really need to know that? Do I really need to do that? Like, I'm fine with what I'm doing right now. I have my routine right now, but that jump, I urge you to understand, the jump from high school to university is going to be different. It's a huge another step. And I want you guys to understand that so much, because when I was your guys' age, and, you know, I was getting little tips here and there, maybe not all of the stuff that I'm telling you guys, which I would have loved to know. I tell myself, oh, when I was in high school, why didn't I listen to the little things that, you know, my coaches and everyone told me? Because my mindset back then was like, I'll be able to handle it. Oh, it's whatever. I'm going to be fine. I'll figure it out on my own. You know, some people might be like that. I'm not going to sit here and say that some people aren't like that, but it is so important to take in everything that you learn right now and start, like Jesse said, start trying to do things that I just talked about now, so that when you get to university, you're prepared for that, because it is going to be a big change. And I don't want you guys to just sit here and say that what you're doing now is fine, because it's going to be different. And as much as you might not want to think it's going to be different, it is going to be different. So it is just so important to take these little things into consideration and understand that they are going to help you so much. And I don't want you guys to have to wait like I did to understand that in my first or second or third year of university, because you guys have an amazing opportunity right now to do those things early in advance and understand all those things that are going to come up in university very soon for you guys.
Awesome. That's all I got for questions, Adrianna. Girls, do you have any more? We'll check with you again.
I don't think so.
No? Good?
No.
Awesome. Well, Adrianna, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know it was very informative, and I'm sure the girls got lots out of it, and there'll be lots watching after. So thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for
Thank you.
talk. Yeah, for sure. Hope you
Thank
guys
you.
take